Kia ora, welcome to Whiteboard Friday. This week sees the launch of the He for She campaign, which the Morgan Foundation is proud to support. That's all about men standing up for women's rights, equality between the sexes. And this Whiteboard Friday is going to be my little contribution to that. Gareth's an ambassador as well, it's worth noting. So, this Whiteboard Friday is going to be on the gender pay gap. Now first up, how big is that gender pay gap? Well, as at 2014, it's around about 12%. That means the average woman, if you put all women in a list from one to the end, the one in the middle gets paid about 12% less per hour than if you did the same with putting all the men in the line and taking the one in the middle, the median in other words. So, that's not a great sounding start, is it, that women on average get paid 12% less. The good news is that that has been going down, that level has been going down for many years now. The bad news is that it's up on 2013, which was 9.9%. Let's hope that's not the start of a bad negative trend. The question is, how much of this gender pay gap is due to things we can explain, and how much is due to unconscious bias, which is a nice way of saying you are sexist, but you don't know it. How much of that gender pay gap is down to things that we can explain, and how much comes down to sexism? Well, there's been plenty of work done on this, but there's no real easy answer. First up, we can look at the industries that women work in. Now, we know that industries women work in tend to be less well paid than men. So things like nursing, social care, those sorts of things, whereas men tend to work in things like construction and manufacturing. Education and training is also another big one for women. So that's one reason that women get paid less than men. We also know that women tend to be of lower rank within those organisations than men. So there's fewer women managers, certainly fewer women chief executives around. Now, between the two of those, we think that that causes about 1/3 of the gender pay gap. Of course, you could argue that those industries that women work for are worth less, that's why they get paid less. Or you could argue that the reason that those industries get paid less is because there's more women involved in them, and that is sexism. What else might cause it? Well, we know that women work part-time a lot more than men. Actually, that makes a big difference because part-time workers tend to get not as well paid as full-time workers. Again, you could argue that this is a matter of choice. More women are choosing to work part-time. They might value their hours less. They might value working less and value their leisure time more. Regardless, that explains about 40% of the gender pay gap. So this is quite a big deal. However, you might also argue that women work part-time more because they earn less than men when they do work. So for a lot of couples, if they have a kid, it might make more sense for the woman to work part-time and the man to work full-time, which is another form of sexism. Finally, is education due to causing this gender pay gap? Well, the good news here is that it used to, but actually women out there on average now have more qualifications than men. So there's no education-based reason to explain the gender pay gap anymore. In fact, the youngsters coming out of university and high school these days, the women are better educated than men. Watch out, boys. So where does this leave us? Well, certainly these explanations don't explain all of the gender pay gap. So there's certainly a good 20 to 30% that can't be explained. That is certainly sexism. Whether you think these industry, rank and part-time working explanations are a good explainer of the gender pay gap, or whether you think they are another form of sexism, well, that is up to you. Statistics can only tell us so much.